Hey folks, we're in our debate by uh, uh, now Cenk versus Destiny debate, and very interested. This is on David Pacman, the moderator. He's talking about the left. What was the main thing about the left? I forgot now. Uh, Something about the left. Oh, should the left, the Democratic Party, move left or right? Move to the left or stay to the right, stay center? And we'll see. This is an interesting debate. We'll see what they say.
Men who have been on the show before. We'll be speaking with Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II, political streamer and debater. And also, he has a much shorter name, Cenk Uygur, host of The Young Turks. So, to get us into this conversation, we recently did a poll on our YouTube channel, Unscientific. Does the Democratic Party need to move left or right, or is it fine where it is? 47% of our audience said Democrats should embrace left-wing economic populism and move further to the left. 44% either said that the Democratic Party is perfect the way it is, change nothing, or should move further to the center, deal with issues of crime and immigration in a way that more resembles the way the right talks about it, etc. I think to start with, I just want to hear about your reaction to that and which direction sounds like it's the one we need to go in.
So, David, I know those questions are rough and it's hard to phrase them exactly right, but I think that you put two different things into one question, and then hence it becomes misleading. So let me break it down for you. I think that there are three different parts of the Democratic Party.
It's not misleading. Oh my God. How was that misleading? Being straightforward.
And they're usually called two different parts, but that's very wrong. So
this is garbage. The identitarian left. These have nothing to do with. I mean, do you have any power? I mean, that's like the marginalized people, and the people who advocated for the marginalized people, activists. They have no power. They have no say in the Democratic Party. I mean, there's nothing. Even on the left, they don't have any. Like, they don't have any power. I mean, so he's gonna mention that the identitarian left. Oh, that's garbage. Talking points, man.
There's the establishment part. I think that's basically the part that Destiny supports. Rah rah, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, corporate Democrats who will deliver 5 to 10%, and then you're supposed to kiss their ass for it and go, "Oh my God, you changed my life so much." And it's nothing but propaganda. They do basically almost everything the donors ask them to. That's the loser wing of the party. And I don't mean that in terms of the folks who are advocating for it. God bless, everybody's got every right to advocate for what they believe in. I mean, they are literally losers. Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris lost to Donald Trump, who, is barely in double digits in IQ points. Biden nearly lost. So if you want to keep making that same mistake, a couple of decades later, there'll be no party left. But like, if we just get the best corporate robot, like Pete Buttigieg, maybe he'll be the answer. No, corporate robots are by definition not the answer. So we're in a populist era. We're in an era where online media is stronger now for the first time than mainstream media. Authenticity is rewarded. And so sending out people going, "I am doing what the donors asked me to," is a disaster, epic disaster. And you've seen it with your own eyes. So I'm trying to wake people up. Now, when you go to the progressive side, everybody just goes, "Oh, progressives." But wait a minute, there's two very different camps in there.
Yep.
There's a camp that's Bernie 2016 that I'm in. That's economic populism, left-wing populist. And then there's the identitarian left, which is go maximum on crime doesn't exist. Trans people should be able to play in any professional sports they like. Free search.
Nobody says Trump doesn't exist. It's garbage. There's no they don't identity turn left, but they don't have any power. I mean, they stick up for marginalized communities, and they just man, this guy's terrible, folks. He's totally right wing. Moving further, and this guy, even Destiny's better than Cenk nowadays. Destiny's like he's terrible too. Says the N word on in his stream. So I have issues with him in his Twitch stream. But these Destiny's more based than Cenk. I mean,
Surgeries for detainees, on and on and on, right?
it's not a big thing, anyways. That's not a big. No one is advocating for that. I mean, it's not the reason why they lost. I mean, and who's doing that? There's nobody. There's 1 or 2, like not even just less than 1% of the people that do no surgeries. Less than 1%. I'm pretty sure. They're just making up story. I mean, he's making up garbage. He's misleading the public, misleading his audience. Especially about crime. It's bullshit. I mean, crime is down. Violent crime is taking violent crime. But crime itself is down. It was up for a while after the pandemic, it went up and it's been coming down.
And so my thesis is not one that's even, I don't even think it's arguable, let alone controversial. The corporate wing and the identitarian left wing proved to be a spectacular failure in this election. Clearly, the popular wing, and by the way, this is not a matter of dispute. You can just look at the polling. So the identitarian left says defund the police is going to poll really well. Latinx is going to poll really well. Except
Defund the police was not part of this election, folks. It's a liar. This guy's a liar. Definitely a freaking liar. He's telling lies. And Latinx, no one uses Latinx. So what AFC uses it? Who cares? No one says Latinx. I mean, I don't hear anybody using those terms. I mean, quite honestly, no Latin people using those terms.
it doesn't. It polls disastrously, right? And the corporate wing says, oh, me kissing the ass of corporations is going to poll really well. And it doesn't. It never does, right? But when you look at the populist left, you've got paid family leave, you've got $15 minimum wage, you've got lowering drug prices, on and on and on, universal health care. They all poll 2/3 or higher. So why not do the thing that's popular? So this is, and of course, there's a reason why.
It polls well with Democrats, actually. And Democrats and independent polls well. Republicans, depends. I don't think paid family leave those. I don't know the health care. Medicare for all. They think it's like a communism. Some of the Republicans. So I don't know.
They don't. And it's because the whole thing is built on money. Money. I mean, the first thing that Joe Biden took out of the first COVID relief bill was the $15 minimum wage. He was lying about it from day one. He buried that. And why? It was, again, polling over 2/3. Why would you take that out? Why wouldn't you let the Republicans defeat it, if they're going to defeat it, and then use it as a tool against them to win elections? The reason you don't do any of that is because your donors ordered you not to do that.
Destiny, about to that point, Bernie Sanders said shortly after the election, I'm paraphrasing, of course the working class abandoned Democrats because Democrats abandoned the working class. Do you think there's truth to that critique from Bernie?
No, of course not.
Why would you say that? Democrats better than the working class. Maybe they did that long time ago. They did that long time ago. But I think it's well, maybe it's the other way around too. Well, Democrats and some of the working class have abandoned the Democrats. But his argument's not bad as you think, folks. Destiny. I could go back.
It's, I mean, like again, the reality is incumbent parties all over the world lost. Like in every single country, the incumbent party lost vote share, lost seats in parliament, lost their elected leaders. I mean, like, it was a referendum on inflation worldwide. We all felt it, and inflation is the thing that you feel the cumulative effects of. So there you go. I mean, like, when has there ever been a president in recent history that's been better for labor than Joe Biden? And is Trump going to be better for labor than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris would have been? Like, there's no policy foundation in that statement. And then to Cenk's point, I guess, like, this is the eternal mystery for progressives, is that, and I've argued with so many on this, their candidates are supposedly the most popular, just nobody knows it yet, and all the positions that they have are the most popular positions. Then why do their candidates lose all their elections? Even when they're outspending opponents, they lose their elections. Why? Where are all of these progressive candidates taking Congress by storm, that are so popular and have all these popular positions? And then I'm curious what Cenk will say, but I will head off one response because I know it's going to be, well, it's because the party's opposed to them and the corporate donors. The party hated Donald Trump when he ran in 2016. Republicans hated Donald Trump when he ran in 2016. It wasn't the billionaire class and it wasn't the donor class. He genuinely got a lot of support from the party, and he eventually rose up through the ranks, and he became popular, and he became the nominee. And I think that if there was a progressive candidate, they could at least be winning their local races. But I mean, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, Cenk, you should.
Here's a point, though, folks. I mean, progressives can't win. I mean, they can't win. Even if they do win, they get in they just sellouts. The so-called, they call themselves progressives. That's the real reason, folks. He's saying that they can't win in general. They can't win elections. But they got into the Congress, the squad, and they get in. They can't do nothing. They can't. They can become sellouts for the establishment. I mean, and Cenk is right too. The media is against them. But it's not all the media. He just has a point. It's not all the media. I mean, but it's going to be interesting here, folks.
Shaking your head, how do you see it?
Yeah, so first, I love talking about worldwide elections because I think it goes to exactly the point I'm making. Candidates that are for the status quo are losing everywhere. And what's interesting is they keep going, I don't get it. Brazil went left, then right, then left. UK went left, then right, then left. What's going on here? Are they left or are they right? They're not left or right. What the voters are doing is voting for change and voting for populism. And so that is your Rosetta Stone. That will tell you if the right winger or the left winger is going to win. And so even Macron was a new party when he won in stunning fashion. Then he did the standard thing that everybody else does, and then they voted against him because then he became the status quo. What is the status quo that the whole world is vomiting out right now? That's neoliberal policies. Give all the money to the very top, and don't worry, it'll trickle all over you many decades from now. As people on the left, we've been fighting against this ideology for decades. But now our leaders have been co-opted by the donor class, and they say the same.
Decades. You haven't been fighting it for decades. You were a Republican at first, Cenk.
Goddamn thing. And that's why we're losing these elections. It's not a matter of whether Donald Trump is better for labor than Kamala Harris. Of course not. But the question is, in the primary, is a candidate like Bernie Sanders better than Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris on labor? And the answer is obviously. obviously. So go towards labor, go towards change. So look, even within this election, guys, it was a perfect microcosm. When Kamala Harris first came out, Anna and I on the Young Turks said, "Oh my God, she's running a brilliant campaign." We're on tape saying that. Why? She came out as an economic populist in the beginning. She went after corporations doing price gouging. She went after the housing prices. She was addressing the economic needs of the average man. And then she picked Tim Walz, the most populist of any of the potential candidates. And then she took what was, Joe Biden was down in the polling anywhere from 2 to 8 points nationally. She eventually sprung up to 7 points ahead nationally. She had it, and on the show I said if the election were held today, she'd win, and that was true. And then a giant turnaround, and she lost the lead entirely and lost the election. What was the turnaround? Her brother-in-law, Tony West, who's a corporate lawyer for Uber.
He believes that she would have won. She did all this crap. So if she just went to the left, they're saying that she would have won. I think this election wasn't really about that. All the stuff they say. In the end, it was because of her identity. That's why she didn't win. It's about whiteness. Some say it's about whiteness. Maybe she might have won this, but you could say that. Yeah, she wouldn't have. I'll say that I put that on 20%. Maybe she would have won. Maybe. But at this time, America, there's so much disinformation and so much hate, and there's a fascism rising in America, and the racism. I think America is worse than the time that Obama came in president. Obama was elected. America is now worse than that. It's more anti-immigrant, xenophobia, anti-black racism. Sexism, there's more sexism. Also, it's even worse when Clinton ran in 16. When she ran, it's even worse than that. I think it's worse than that. I'm pretty sure. America, the racism and sexism. So, yeah, I don't think she would have won. It doesn't matter what you move left or right. It doesn't matter. Probably doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Maybe she would have won. Maybe it's a better tank. It's better. We would never know. It's easy now to say that. They could say it now. So what if she ran to the left, did all that thing and lost? They would be a different tune. Now they would have to admit it. Thing is, she went to the right, so we would never know. But to me, she would know. It still wouldn't matter.
Convinced her to kiss the ass of corporations, and that was a brilliant political strategy. So what did she do? She put out a letter of 90 corporate CEOs backing her. And she started bragging about all the corporate CEOs are on my side, all the corporate CEOs are on my. I'm like, stop, you're doing terrible damage, right? And then she had Mark Cuban go on every cable news show. Now, guys, remember, she's in favor of big business. Don't worry, big business. She loves big business. Then Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, all the wrong direction, and she lost the lead and she lost the election. It's right there. It happened right in front of your eyes. So now this idea that the establishment wing uses. Just because we spend billions of dollars against your progressive candidates, and we have all of mainstream media lying and doing propaganda on our behalf and saying there are no donor class. The donor class doesn't affect anything. Oh my God, the billions they took in donations from corporations, it doesn't affect anyone. No, Bernie Sanders is the real problem. He's going to execute people in Central Park. Oh my God, if he actually serves the average American, it's going to be terrible. Everybody unite against it, right? And you guys all saw it with your own eyes. Think about it. In 2013, when Bernie Sanders was polling at 1% against Hillary Clinton, I did a video on the Young Turks saying that brother could actually beat Hillary Clinton in the 2016 primary. Why did I say that? Not because of Bernie. Bernie's a great guy. He means well, etc. He's got his faults like everybody does. But it's because I a massive populist energy in the country,
Ah,
and he went from 1% to 48%. So why did he not get over the hump and get to 52%? Because the minute he got into the 40s, they went from ignoring him to he's going to execute people in Central Park. His followers are brown shirts. He's anti-Semitic. He's this. He's that. He's terrible. So yeah, with all of the media and all of the money against you, it's a little harder to win. If you don't acknowledge that, you're just being intellectually dishonest.
Do you acknowledge that, Destiny?
Hold on. Last thing. But despite all that, I helped to co-found Just Democrats. We launched it on the Young Turks, and everybody told me there's like maybe you'll get one. We got 11 people rejecting corporate PAC betting into Congress. It was stunning, and we had one of the most stunning political upsets literally in American history when AOC beat Crowley, and we did that with almost no money. Okay, so even with overwhelming odds against us, anything that is remotely just a 5% fair playing field and we win. Imagine if we had the party infrastructure with us rather than against us.
So, Destiny, address any of that you want, but specifically Cenk's answer to your question about why aren't the progressives winning if the ideas are so popular, that Cenk said, which is when Bernie got into the 40s, the entire apparatus gets aligned against him.
I mean, it becomes an unfalsifiable claim. Like, it might just be that Bernie was just too far to the left for what the Democratic Party was ready to handle, which you would expect to see reflected in the media and in the people. I mean, it becomes unfalsifiable. You can have...
see it, folks, too far to the left. It sounds ridiculous, right? Hear what he says. Look, watch.
You can have elections where, like, Nina Turner is spending a ton of money and she still loses. You can have elections where the progressives are spending a lot of money and there's always a reason. It's either a new corporate donor or a new media is being biased or a new whatever. You know, all the media hated Trump. That didn't stop him in 2016. The Republican Party hated Trump. That didn't stop him in 2016. I think that at some point, like, progressives will have to understand that it takes more than just, you know, screaming about the most leftist populist policies ever to get elected. We talk about, like, the world had a referendum on neoliberalism. No, it was just a referendum on incumbent parties. And sometimes when you vote for it, people see that it doesn't even work out. You know, it was a whole bunch of populism that moved to Brexit, and that hasn't worked out well for the UK at all. So now they're kind of trending back in the other direction.
He's right, folks. And sadly, he's right about that too. I'm agreeing with Destiny. It's crazy. But he's right about that too. The world, unfortunately, they don't. It's not against neoliberal policies. I mean, they go swing back and forth. I think he's right. It's not a referendum on that. And eventually, the Democrats will be voted back in. If there's an election, let's say, if Trump doesn't end the elections, it's gonna be another election, and the Democrats are gonna come back in 4 years, because this guy he's gonna crash the economy and do terrible things. A lot of things gonna happen. Eventually, they're gonna vote the Democrats. They don't have to go. Maybe they don't have to go to the left. See, there's a problem. They don't have to see. They won't be. They don't have to go to the left. I mean, Destiny's right, because it's gonna be so bad. They're gonna want Trump out. And this is a vicious cycle. See, that's the thing, is to get out of this two-party system. The so-called leftists, the called progressives, they should leave the Democratic Party for good. And Destiny's gonna tell them to. He's gonna tell them to leave the party. He says they don't want the leftists in the party. He's gonna say it himself. He's a Mr. Democrat himself. He's gonna tell Cenk that. Well, let's see.
And if anything, a lot of the rejection, especially through Europe, and a lot of the reasons why those countries are tending right, have to do with fallouts from the refugee crisis still, and all of the migrants fleeing into Europe still. So I mean, like this idea that the world wants these, hollow, empty populist leaders that at the end of the day don't even have great policies for them, and again, for some reason, like where are they? Why are they not taking over Congress? Like where are all of these people in Congress? We had the Justice Sims that came in originally, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But there was, I don't remember this exactly, but I remember I looked up the stat because they went from saying that like only 10% of our candidates won to like 90% of our candidates. The Justice Sims went from supporting I think like 70 plus candidates one season to the next election cycle like 6. And if there was so much of this populist energy, why aren't they being elected everywhere? Like they're still representing a minority opinion in the party.
Destiny, I want to stick with you first.
I think these guys are so they're terrible about the elections maybe, and some of them are not really maybe progressives. They're the sellouts, the cosplay. Look like Fuduman in Pennsylvania. He came out. He won an election as a progressive, and he's totally fraud. I mean, and he probably did that. Turn to the right, the mainstream Democrat, maybe to stay in to save his seat probably too. Because if he was a populist, he probably might lose that seat in the next election. They might lose to the primary. They're gonna primary him. The Democratic Party would primary him if he had the second time around. First time he ran as a leftist to get in. The previous election, in this election, he won as a centrist Democrat. See, if he had run as a progressive, now he get primaried. Early in the primary, he maybe would. Most likely he would have. Been close. And he probably would have lost. Let's see.
A second. Before the election, you tweeted, if Kamala ends up winning, the entire far left, the commies, tankies, Hamas supporters, etc., need to be effing jettisoned from the party. We don't need them to win. We can turn out our own base, and they are an absolute...
See, commies... See, this guy's terrible. He's a scumbag. Scumbag Democrat. And he's kind of a bigot too. See, he wants them out. I think this is what most Democrats think. These so-called corporate Democrats. They don't like the leftists or the socialists or the progressives, so they hate them. I think they should take their advice. Cenk, you should take his advice. Leave the party. Do your own party. Or go to the Greens, form a third party. So you need a third. You need a leftist party. Strong a populist leftist party with a movement behind it. Start something. That's why people voted Green to start something, even though a Green Party is not that good. I mean, it could be another, but there's other leftist parties there, actually, you could vote for. But they're telling you to get out of the party. See, Destiny's telling you, he's a Democrat, to get out of the party. And you should take his advice.
Effing cancer to be associated with. Given Trump's victory and whatever it means to you, do you stand by that?
Yeah, 1,000,000,000,000%. I think that having to answer for
you.
Having to, but I mean, I represent far more of the party than the far left.
Apparently you don't. Apparently you represent the loser wing.
You can lose like every progressive candidate that is running in all of their elections that are being tossed. They lose their primaries. They lose their actual elections. Like they're losers. They're by definition they're losers.
You guys are both losers. but he's wrong. I think the progressive. I think he's right. Most of the Democratic, the politician, the people. I think most people are not right now. The country has moved to the right, and the Democratic vote people. I think they're more. I think the progressive are the base of the party, but it's a small base of the party. But I think it's kind of the more. Most people are more centrist. Most of the Democrats, they're more centrist. I think he's right in a way. They're a little more centrist. I think 4 years ago was different. I think the people, they're more left. They were a lot more leftist. The party was more left 4 years ago. Definitely, the party's more. Parties, even the people, the voters gone to. They're more to the right. I mean, and even Cenk's more to the right. I mean, so the leftist commentators and the content creators, the more to the right. So it's the whole party, the whole left is shift to the right, and the leftists and the real leftists, they're more the lesser, they're lesser in the party. To me, the, and it's more they're more like centrists. So there's more. I think the Democratic Party is more centrist, and the voters are now. I mean, didn't show up to vote. Most of them are the progressives. I would say even even the people on the moderates probably didn't vote. I mean, yeah, the party is more to the right. Even some of even the voters. So he's right on that probably. He's right on that.
The issue is that one is the lefty media sphere will never ever support a candidate that is electable in the mainstream. They just won't. They turn on Bernie Sanders and they turn on AOC. Even those people aren't far left enough for the insanity that is the far left online now. So trying to kowtow to this.
He's wrong about that. He hates Bernie Sanders. Oh my God, he's terrible. This guy's terrible. I disagree with him. I mean,
people who want to see like an actual communist or like this like anti capitalist or this like just somebody that's too far left that most European countries probably wouldn't even support in leadership. It's just an unrealistic proposition. Unless like
it's anti-capital. He's a communist. Yeah. But he's gonna make a point here that's interesting. What?
Can actually prove, some of their, I guess, merit at more local levels, or even like in congressional levels, rather than just like for the presidential race. That's number one. And number two, that media sphere is toxic, and we have to pretend that they're part of the in-group. Again, a big benefit that Trump enjoys is when he gets attacked, Trump can run this whole media circuit on the right where every single person is sycophantically obsessed with him. He doesn't have to answer any attacks. He can sit there and attack the other side endlessly and relentlessly, and there's no accountability. And then you're Kamala Harris or you're, the Democratic candidate. It's like, okay, well, going on the right platforms is very difficult because these people are going to, rake me over the coals. And then I go to the left platforms. These people all call me corporate sellouts, donor class, whatever. Okay, well, Jesus, I've got my center left media, but they're so obsessed with trying to be fair and balanced and to try to not be, not have like Trump derangement syndrome that they're going to be like ultra accountable.
Actually, he's right in a sense. I agree with him on this. He's trying to be too, the media too, the left media. They're trying to, the ones that are so supposed to be, I mean, for the content creators. I mean, we criticize I think they criticize their own too much. I mean, it's good to be fair and balanced. Good to criticize the left, their own, but I think when you beat up on, especially the left beats up on each other. That's a problem too. Too much. They do it too much. And the right doesn't do it. The right doesn't do it that much, or even at all. But the left does it too much. And some of the stuff, even the left are saying, what Kamala Harris, the Democrats or the Democrats, and say left, because not all the left supported the Democrats. A lot of the left supported Jill Stein. I shouldn't say a lot, but quite a few. So, but yeah, they trying to be too fair, and they end up being on their own candidate.
So you have these wacky, unbelievable moments where people like Walls and Vance are on stage, and the question for Walls is, didn't you lie 20 or 30 years ago about the months you were in Taiwan? And then the question for Vance is like, did you really mean it when you said you would also overturn like the next election? And we have to pretend that these two things are even? It's just ridiculous. The Democrat establishment and then the Democratic media sphere needs to do a better job at like reinforcing the voting for the in group, because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is getting your candidate elected. You can do all the activism on Twitter or whatever you want, but if you're not pushing for electable candidates to get elected, then you're engaging in slacktivism.
Cenk, feel free to respond to that. How
And there's a point though. His brother Sanders, well, people say Sanders was electable. People would say that, but I don't know. I don't think he didn't win the primary. And looking back now, maybe he wouldn't win the presidency. And first of all, the identity, he's Jewish, and the media. Oh, the media will attack him. But Cenk's right about that. The media will attack him, and Destiny dismisses that, but he needs to make something. Destiny has a point though. He's gonna make up something. He's gonna bring up something that is interesting. That's why about the healthcare and that something that they made it probably people wouldn't vote for him. But
however you want, but I would love to hear you address the issue Destiny's bringing up about the asymmetry when it comes to the media ecosystems. And it's not about if she had done Rogan, she would have won. I don't believe that. I don't think there's any evidence of that. But generally, the question of the media ecosystem.
Yeah, so lots of thoughts here. First off, why could Trump overcome it and Bernie couldn't? You're leaving out the fact that Trump was an enormous celebrity, and they literally gave him over $1 billion in free media as he was running on the Republican side. Whereas Bernie Sanders got, in his miraculous run to catch Hillary Clinton that started in 2015, where he went from 1 point to basically about 48 percentage points, ABC covered him for 7 seconds, the whole year, 7 seconds. So that's what mainstream media does, because they're literally corporate media. They're multi-billion-dollar corporations. So they hate actual populists like Bernie Sanders. Fake populists like Donald Trump. Oh, it's a clown show. We're having fun. Give them a couple $1 billion in free media and see how it turns out.
they're actually right wing too. So-called corporate media.
Well, it turned out very poorly. And there's a conflation here between mainstream media and left-wing media. I think that the question on the debate stage that Destiny's referring to, yeah, totally outrageous, asymmetrical, ridiculous. Those two things are not comparable. That's mainstream media doing false equivalency. That's not the conversation that we're having here. We're very, very far from mainstream media. So in terms of what went wrong with the Just Democrats real quick, and then I'll come back to what should the left-wing media do. So in the beginning, when the co-founders were running it, that's when we ran to 70 candidates, and we were very successful. Unfortunately, all of us kind of left the building for different reasons. And then the new management decided they were going to run only a small number of races. But to be fair to them, they actually won a very high percentage of those races in the second time around. That's how they were able to build up from 4 to 11. So there's good arguments, political strategy wise, for either direction. But what really took the steam out of Just Democrats is that the founders wanted AOC and the others to go in a populist left direction, an economically populist direction. And instead, that's very, very difficult. The reason why it's so difficult is because their colleagues get so mad at them if they talk about money in politics. Because then they all go, "Are you saying Hakeem Jeffries is corrupt just because he took all this money from the oil companies, the drug companies, the banks, APAC, every other lobbyist? Are you better not be mean to
money in politics." Right, Cenk. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is fight them on. They didn't really fight them on the other issues. There wasn't just money in politics. The other issues they're fighting for, they didn't fight hard enough, and they could have forced the vote. Remember that, Cenk? Yeah, what's going on?
colleagues. So they powered down on our most popular positions, and they went identitarian left instead. But that is
Turn
extreme.
left.
So that's why Destiny's conflating those two things, and I think
They went identitarian left. AOC, she said she went more. Well, she stand up for the rights of trans people. I don't know. And she did something else. Oh, the George Floyd too. Yeah, that's what they meant too. The protests back then. Well, they didn't. Well, you don't think things like forgetting it, don't stand up for marginalized people. I guess it's okay, but he did. Though he probably agrees with Destiny on that. I don't think he's okay, he had something to say about the George Floyd too, like a few times on another stream or video. I mean, but yeah, all this identitarian left, and that's totally garbage. I guess they just forget about equal rights and justice. I guess. I mean, especially for black people. I mean,
I'm not saying Destiny's doing this, but I think that a lot of people in media almost do that on purpose. A lot of them don't know. They just think progressives means both of those things at the same time. And then they just say, oh, they're all unpopular. And a lot of times, especially mainstream media, they'll go, defund the police, Latinx, universal health care. Wait, one of those things does not belong on that list. Universal health care pulls it over 70%.
the guy for the campaign, he said that. Cause he actually, the guy for he won the campaign for Kamala Harris. He said, yeah, he actually said that.
So you've got to separate out those two wings. Anyone who's been economically populist has done a terrific job. For example, Tim Walz. We all like Tim Walz, right? Every wing of the Democratic Party likes Tim Walz. Well, Tim Walz was an economic populist, got a lot of things passed in Minnesota, and was rewarded for it, and was very, very popular in Minnesota because he delivered for the average guy, including paid family leave, and which is actually very, very easy to pass. It's at 84% approval. It's just that the corporate wing goes, yes, I know, it would make us popular, it would help our voters, it's what we promised, it's super easy to pass, but we don't want to because our donors told us not to. Well, that's a wing that's going to get clobbered throughout the rest of time. That's the neoliberal wing. And the idea that the world is not under neoliberal rule right now is absurd. Of course we are. All the countries are under neoliberal corporate rule, and that's why the voters are rebelling against all of them. So what's the media supposed to do? Now, online media, corporate media is going to corporate media. They're always going to tell you whoever takes the most donor money is the greatest. They're leading the race with $1 billion in bribes. Bravo, bravo, terrific job, corporate Democrat, corporate Republican. And remember, guys, Trump beat the corporate Republicans. Like, you guys make it seem like, oh, that, hey, people are in favor of Republicans or their voters are still. No, their voters rejected their corporate wing. And it came with a lot of baggage we're not happy with, right? But you have to give them a little bit of credit for actually, not for supporting Trump, who I think is a fake populist, but for at least rejecting Mitch McConnell, rejecting all those guys. So on our side, we say, oh, Mitch McConnell took $1 billion in corporate money throughout his career, terrible, evil, corrupt guy. Nancy Pelosi took the same $1 billion from very similar donors, did exactly what they wanted, just like Mitch McConnell. Terrific, angel, wonderful. Yeah, you could think that, and you could do all the marketing in the world for rah Nancy Pelosi.
I don't think the leftists. I mean, think that actually. I don't think they like Nancy Pelosi, like the real leftists. I mean, the liberals like her, but not the leftists, real leftists, even the far left. I think they hate I think the far left is right. Wrong. I think the far left hate the Democratic Party. I mean, with the so-called left or the liberals, I think that's what's in the party now. The liberals, like this guy is a liberal, like Destiny, or centrist. That's what I think. I don't think it's actual leftists. They're in the party, like the voters. They support them. But they're leftists in the party. And the politicians are. Okay, there's a squad, and even the progressives, they call themselves progressive. The politicians, somewhere in the House, and they're not really progressives. They're more like corporate Democrat. They call themselves leftists. I mean progressive, but they're corporate Democrats.
But at the end of the day, the American people woke up, and they know that the $1 billion, whether it goes to a Republican or a Democrat, is corruption defined. So what we should do is we should have strong primaries and really challenge our candidates, because this whole idea of anointing, how's that working out for us? So we were supposed to trust the geniuses in Democratic leadership. Oh my God, they're playing four-dimensional chess. We'll never figure out what they're doing. They're so smart. Really? Even under Obama. Okay, Obama won a couple of times, and that's a long history, and we talk about how selfish he was. But in the meanwhile, while he was in office, the Democrats lost 1,000 seats nationwide. And by the way, the guy most responsible for that was Rahm Emanuel. And now the corporate Democrats are saying, let's bring back Rahm Emanuel to lose another 1,000 seats. Are you insane? And then they said, oh, we have to anoint Hillary Clinton. How did that turn out? We have to anoint Joe Biden. We have to anoint Kamala Harris. And by the way, Biden only won by 43,000 votes in 3 swing states. They nearly lost to this imbecile 3 times. Look, you can't say someone has despotic tendencies, is a fascist, is a moron, is the worst guy in the world, and then lose to him 2 times and say, you should put me back in charge because I know what I'm doing. No, they have proven definitively that they do not know what they're doing.
Destiny, go ahead.
I mean, there's nothing to say. Like, progressives have nothing to show for their record. They have, like, bad polling, like that 70-80% of Americans support single payer. That's not true. We've done the polling on this over and over and over again. If you poll in the most favorable manner, they support it. If you poll for what it actually is, that support plummets to, like, 25%.
That's not remotely true.
It is absolutely true. I don't remember if it was
You're arguing against Democratic policies. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well,
why don't you just join the Republican Party?
So
Well,
let me just
about whether or
interject
not the
one thing
policy is
here.
good or bad.
If I can interject one thing
Okay,
here.
go ahead.
From what I've seen, the polling Cenk mentions does exist, around 70-75% support. The polling I've seen with what we might call more specific wording, it's not that support drops to 25%, but I have seen it drop to more like 48 to 50%. I do think a lot of it's complicated because if you just ask someone, does the government have a basic level of responsibility to give people some health care? Most people say yes, and also a lot of them don't necessarily know what that means. I don't know that we're going to solve whether it's a good policy based on 3 different polls that ask it in a different way. I don't know. I've seen the polling.
Well, no,
both
yeah,
of you
I
are
understand.
referring
I'm
to.
just saying that, like, if you wanna if you wanna actually pass any policy or do anything, you have to have an actual realistic understanding of what it is Americans even think before you even begin to go down the path of how do we implement it. And the reality is single payer healthcare. When you ask somebody, do you think the government should provide health insurance for people? That polls incredibly well.
Yeah.
When you ask, should the government be, the second question, there were all 3 of these were listed in a, I wish I could remember the name of the polling firm, but this is around when
I
Bernie
think
was
it's the
running.
Kaiser Family Foundation that
It might be that. There's a second way of asking it that's more neutral. Of like, do you think that the government should be do you think that the government should be able to offer insurance or something for all levels? Something like that. But then the third question is, should the government be the sole provider of insurance and ban private insurance? And that one's incredibly unpopular.
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
the
the
one that polls
ban
out
private insurance, it's like even countries that have universal systems, they don't ban, most of them don't ban private insurance. So I don't even know why that would be included necessarily.
because that's what Bernie's plan was. Bernie's plan
Mhm.
for healthcare was the furthest left plan.
See that, folks? See, Bernie would have. That's why it's kind of nuance. So I think he even mentioned that. I think people were saying that too. To get rid of the private system, get rid of the whole thing, or ban it, and go for single payer. Even here, they have private health. I mean, yeah. So he has a point, actually. Believe it or not.
Of any country that would have ever existed on the face of the earth. There was
That's
no
that's
other
A,
plan.
not true, and B, you really sound like a Republican.
That's
You
great.
sound
You
like
can actually read the
McConnell.
policy, okay? So Bernie Sanders' plan included things like no copay for drugs and covered things like vision and dental and provided for a single means of both insurance and I believe delivery medicine throughout the entire country. It was more left than any other medical plan on the planet. I do agree with what you're saying, Pacman, that there are multi-payer systems. I'm a big fan of either a public option or even a single payer system, depending on how you administer it. I think it's fine. Medicare expansion, all things are fine. But you have to be honest about like where is the electorate at, how do they feel about these things, and you can't just constantly blame donors and billionaires and even like this huge cope of calling Trump a fake populist. Trump is as populist as they come. He is one man against the system who's telling you that he's going to fight and take it all down as one person against all the corrupt donors and everything else. This is as populist as they possibly come. Populists become dictators. This is what populism is. It's the precursor to things like that.
Right, he's right, folks. I think he's right. Yep. I think they can be dictators. He's right about that. But but if Bernie, not to say that Bernie would be a dictator, I'm saying, but he's right. They could be dictators. I think this through history, there's a fact. He's sick in his head. It's true. He's an idiot. Look through the history. You know that he's saying, "Oh no." I mean, people get into power. I don't know. Hitler was kind of a populist. He became populist. But there's the wrong populist too. That's the thing. But Bernie wouldn't be a dictator. I mean, we're an extreme leftist. But the right wing definitely. I mean, I guess have been extreme leftists become authoritarians, right? In history, and we know that. So.
Fascism or authoritarian regimes. You always get these like strong great men.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. Do things that are unpopular.
I mean, he's winning elections
Gentlemen.
on it, so yeah.
Yeah, he's true though. He's true though. He's talking right, Cenk. You're the idiot. They could be authoritarians. I mean, yeah, he's right. I mean, he's saying, "Oh, unpopular," really. Yeah, do things unpopular. With the Medicare thing, he has a point. You have to. He's saying that you should do. You have to know what you're talking about. Like, do the people. You have to word it. And he's saying that it's wording. That's not what he's saying. And they have to frame it differently. That's what he's saying, in a way. But I'm gonna end this soon, folks. This is like
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you ruined my train of thought. Go ahead.
Sorry.
The last thing I wanted to
No,
ask about.
Pac-Man ruined my train of thought. So,
The last
go.
thing I wanted to ask about involves sort of both of you on Twitter. Cenk, you kind of went mega viral for responding to Elon Musk and saying, "Hey, put me in charge of
nah, I'm
stock."
not gonna do this crazy. I want to see what Disney's. I know the Twitter
That
thing.
Pentagon budget. Elon actually replied. He asked for suggestions. Don Jr. replied something like, "This is being considered," or "It was considered." Destiny, you responded to the entire thing by saying "sigh," S-I-G-H. I think my first question to you, Cenk, is: do you think they genuinely want to cut defense spending, or this entire Department of Grifty Edgelords thing is just really about cutting social programs at the end of the day? Or do you really think the Pentagon is something they would cut?
So let's look at this conversation, right? So first of all, why do I call Trump a fake populist? Because
I'm gonna end this stupidness. It's getting late, and he's talking about Elon Musk, but this whole thing is garbage. See, Destiny, I agree with Destiny oddly. The Democrats or the left, so-called socialists or progressive, you should leave the party. They're telling you you shouldn't be in the party, Cenk. If you're a real person, I mean if you weren't a grifter, you'd know this. You'd leave the party. You can start a third party. I mean, there'll be a real movement. But this is they definitely made some good points. And maybe the Democratic Party, not as left as you think, not as left as I thought it was. Maybe we were right. Maybe the people are not that progressive like they used to be, like 4 years ago. See, America, they voted to go right. America voted for the fascism. Go totally right wing. and even though they like some of the leftists, they like some popular left wing left to the left, right? Economically, but right now it's all about the immigrants and price and housing prices, groceries, and he's focused on that, on the tariffs, which is a bad idea, and then the immigration. So see, it was immigration and that. Immigration and the economy. That's what people voted him in. Totally, I mean, we were wrong. The country's going more to the right. So maybe in the Democratic Party, I don't know. They stayed home. They said all left-wingers stayed home. I don't know. I don't know, I'm thinking about it now. We're just liberals. This affected liberals. This affected this or the disgusted liberals who stayed home on election day. Anyways, folks, I'm going to end this. This is a garbage stream. Not a garbage stream, a garbage debate. And American left is trash. Oh, it's garbage. I'm going to end this, folks. I'm out.